9 months pregnant, I went to the hospital alone, only to find my husband attending a prenatal checkup with another woman. He kissed her belly, held her hand, and told her gently, "If Evelyn finds out, I'll just divorce her." In that moment, I realized something brutal. The child she carried was his, too. I stood there, clutching my own medical report, until she snatched it from my hands, read it, and laughed. "Cancer?" she sneered. "Do you think you'll live long enough to give birth?" I was carrying his child, dying, and still, he chose her. So I made a decision. I would disappear from his life completely. Take my baby, leave everything behind. But 2 weeks later, why did that same man show up at my wedding, eyes red, begging me to come back? 9 months pregnant, I ran into my husband, Beckett Shaw, and his mistress at the hospital. The moment I picked up my report, I saw the two of them celebrating the upcoming arrival of their own child. Delaney pretended to be concerned. "Beckett, you really shouldn't be here with me. If Evelyn finds out, she'll be upset." "She's pregnant too. Aren't you worried she'd be upset?" Beckett let out a cold chuckle. "If she causes a scene, I'll just divorce her. Since Beckett didn't want us anymore, I'd rather raise the child without a father than stay in this farce of a marriage." I called my dad, who was living overseas. "Dad, I've made up my mind. I'm getting a divorce. I'm taking the baby and moving out to be with you." After I hung up, I booked the earliest flight available. 2 weeks, that's all I needed. 2 weeks and I'd be out of Beckett's life for good. But then why did that man show up at my wedding with red eyes, begging me to take him back? 9 months pregnant, and the moment I received my prenatal report, I saw my husband attending a prenatal appointment with his first love, Delaney Cross. "Beckett, you coming with me to this appointment? If Evelyn finds out, she'll be really upset. She's due soon, too. Aren't you worried?" Delaney said with a voice full of pretend concern, but I caught the smugness in her eyes. Beckett kissed her belly gently and replied with chilling indifference, "She doesn't know about this, and I'm not planning on telling her. Maybe it's the hormones, but her mood's been all over the place lately. I don't want her making things difficult for you, but we can't keep sneaking around like this. Evelyn's heavily pregnant, too. If she finds out, I'm afraid there's nothing to be afraid of. It's my duty to be here with you for this appointment. After all, the baby is mine, too. If Evelyn wants to cause trouble, I'll just divorce her." The coldness in Beckett's voice when he spoke about me made my blood run cold. If Beckett had already decided to toss us aside, then I would beat him to it. I would leave him and raise this child on my own. I let out a bitter smile as my heart finally gave up. I pulled out my phone and called my father overseas. "Dad, I've made up my mind. I'm divorcing him. I'll bring the baby and come live with you." "I'm glad you finally came to your senses," came his voice through the line. "The Shaws might come from an elite family, but ours isn't lacking either. If staying there only brings you pain, then yes, leave him and raise the child on your own." "You're right, Dad." After hanging up, I immediately booked the next flight out. I thought back to this morning, when I asked Beckett to come to my appointment with me. He said he had work. Turns out he was just accompanying Delaney to hers. 9 months of pregnancy, and not once had Beckett ever come with me to the hospital. Delaney had her engagement called off 3 months ago, and ever since she came back to the country, Beckett had been meeting her over and over again. From the moment she returned, Beckett and I had barely shared any time alone. Whenever Delaney called, even if it was just a text, Beckett would drop everything and rush to her. He even hugged her affectionately right in front of me. It wasn't like I hadn't confronted him about it, but every time I did, he brushed me off with the same excuse, that Delaney was going through a hard time and needed support. According to him, everything he did was to help Delaney back on her feet. She was pregnant, he said, and he had a moral obligation to be there for her. But Beckett seemed to forget one crucial fact: Delaney wasn't the only pregnant woman in his life. I was, too, and I was even further along than she was. If anything, I was the one who needed care the most. For the longest time, I thought the baby Delaney was carrying was Beckett's. I tried to ask indirectly. I even told him that if he no longer loved me, he needed to tell me outright. But every single time, he'd shut me down, impatient, dismissive, evasive. And the one time I dared question whose child Delaney was really carrying, he got furious. He kept reassuring me, over and over again, until I finally chose to trust him. I told myself he was just being kind, that he hadn't fallen out of love with me. But now, it's all so clear, Delaney's baby has always been his. They'd been sneaking around behind my back for God knows how long, and I was nothing more than their cover story. When Beckett mentioned divorcing me, I caught the way Delaney's eyes narrowed slightly, a flicker of satisfaction slipping through her carefully composed expression. "I never meant to take you from Evelyn," she said, her voice trembling ever so slightly. "It's just, if my fiancé hadn't broken things off, none of this would have happened. I needed to protect my dignity, and thank God you were there, Beckett. I honestly don't know what I would have done, where I would have gone, after coming back to this country without you." Her eyes filled with tears, and Beckett, full of tenderness and concern, gently wrapped her in his arms. "I told you, I'll take care of you, Delaney. If it weren't for you back then, I would have." He trailed off. "Anyway, it's only right that I look after you," he continued. "Evelyn is my wife, so she should understand why I'm doing this. And so what if she finds out? I'll still be here for you, no matter what." Beckett patted Delaney gently, comforting her. As the doctor came out of the exam room, she glanced at them and said with envy, "You're one lucky woman, Mrs. Shaw. Your husband never misses a single checkup, and he treats you with such care and affection." Delaney blushed, smiling bashfully, and Beckett nodded like it was only natural. I stared at the sickening scene in front of me, nails digging into my palms. 2 more weeks and I would be gone from Beckett's life forever. Beckett soon followed the doctor into the office to pick up the prenatal report. Delaney, however, made an excuse about needing to use the restroom, and then just stood there. Once they were both inside, she finally drawled lazily, "You can come out now. You've been standing there watching long enough. Haven't had your fill yet?" I stepped out without a word, my expression blank. Seeing that I stayed silent, Delaney grew impatient. Her gaze sharpened with mockery. "What? No shame left at all? You knew Beckett never loved you, yet you still insist on holding on to the title of Mrs. Shaw?" I let out a cold laugh. "And you don't find it shameful to be the other woman, fully aware he's married?" Delaney's lips curled into a smile. "I knew Beckett long before you did. If I hadn't gone abroad, you'd never have had the chance to marry him." She lightly patted her belly, then added smugly, "But I'm back now, and I'm pregnant with his child. So I'd say it's time for you to step aside. From the moment I married Beckett, I knew he had a woman he considered his one true love, but I never thought she'd hold such an unshakable place in his heart. The pain that shot through my chest nearly brought me to my knees. My grip tightened instinctively on the report in my hand, and that's when Delaney saw and snatched it from me. She scanned the conclusion and burst into wild, gleeful laughter. Cancer, huh? She said. So, what do you think? Will you live long enough to give birth to that bastard baby, or are you both going to die together? Her laughter rang in my ears like sirens, and something in me snapped. I stepped forward and slapped her, hard. She staggered back dramatically, then fell to the ground with a wail. Evelyn, I didn't mean to keep this from you, but I'm pregnant. How could you hit me like that? Huge, dramatic tears rolled down her cheeks. And before I could even process her performance, I felt a violent shove from behind. I lost my balance and my belly slammed into the cold, hard floor. Beckett grabbed my arm and yanked me up. I was still dazed, still trying to process the shock, when he yelled in my face. Are you out of your mind? How could you push Delaney? She's pregnant. I stared at him, stunned. Before I could speak, Delaney cried out, Beckett, please don't fight with Evelyn because of me. I shouldn't have asked you to come to the appointment with me. This is my fault. As long as the baby's okay, she can slap me. She looked like a tragic heroine, eyes glassy, lower lip trembling. Beckett's face twisted with anger. His voice was low and sharp when he turned to me. You've crossed the line, Evelyn, he said coldly. Apologize to Delaney. The sound of it shocked even me. I laughed, bitterly. You want me to apologize? I said, my voice hoarse. Beckett, do you know what this is? I shoved the cancer report into his chest, my hands shaking. My throat tightened with emotion. He didn't even look at it. He tore the paper in half and glared at me like I was the problem. I don't care what that says. All I know is you've gone too far. God, you're pregnant, Evelyn. How could you be cruel to other women? Tears finally slipped down my cheeks, hot and silent. My whole body trembled, not from pain, but from sheer fury. Beckett saw me crying and for a moment, his expression softened. His tone shifted to something gentler.